All right, everyone. It's another special live podcast. Today we got with us on the phone Zac Griffith. And I got Zac on today because we're going to talk a little bit about hate and hate on hate crimes in the hunting industry a little bit, and talk a little bit about what Zac's got going on. And just kind of roll. We're going to take questions from you guys, and it should be a good one. What's going on, Zac?
Not much, buddy. Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. I didn't know if I was actually going to make it today. I got some kind of stomach flu thing, and I've been tossing my cookies all morning long. So if I don't seem chipper in my normal self,
yeah, you look terrible, dog.
To the bathroom, I expect you to take over the podcast for a minute. So cool. We got quite a few people on, jumped on already. So I'm going to start off, with the intro. Like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about, let's talk about this hate away. You posted a video this morning. You and I get, pretty much anybody that's in the spotlight gets a certain amount of hate comments or, hate mail, or, people that just constantly waiting for you to screw up so they can point out your flaws. Why don't you get into that a little bit and give us your take?
Well, what happened is this last week I've had a lot of my buddies and friends that are in all good intentions. They're sending me messages, or they're screenshotting a meme, or they're sending me a thread that shows people talking about me. And I made the video. Sorry, I got my lights on auto in here. I made the video because I just wanted to thank everybody for reaching out and having my back. But at the end of the day, I just explained that I just do not give a rat's ass about the guys that don't like me. I don't like a lot of people too, but I don't waste my time or energy telling them. You know what I mean? If I don't like you, I just unfollow and move on. And that's it. There's no emotion. And I think it's because I'm busy. I mean, maybe the guys that have time to sit around and stew stuff up, they just have nothing better to do. I mean, I feel sorry for their families and their kids. It's like, you got so much time in a day. What are you allocating it to? Are you allocating it to good things or bad things? And at the end of the day, Facebook drama, it's 12-year-old crap. That's why I block them. It's not that I'm a wuss, or I even said it, a chicken shit. It has nothing to do with that. You want to come up to me in the street or let's talk, we can face to face all day long, man. But it on social media, it just bugs me like a flea. I just flick them off my shoulder and move on. And it's not about arrogance. It's about, we're obviously not on the same page, dude. And since you're not man enough to just move on, I'm going to move on for both of us and block you. And it's the easiest solution. It's the simplest way to just tell them to piss off and just move on with your life. And it fascinates me that grown man out there, can get blocked and still relentlessly try to stir stuff up. It's dude,
incredible.
If you feed a stray cat long enough, the cat might, stop coming to your house once you cut the food off. But these guys keep showing up, and it's do you got nothing better to do than stalk me? It's just bizarre to me. I don't get it. I don't get it at all, but whatever.
Yeah. I don't feel like I get, I don't get it to that level. I always get criticized on how I do things, especially long shots. Everybody's an expert, and everyone wants to tell me how I do things is wrong. Every time I post a video, there's always, 5 guys that's got to jump in and say, well, you did this wrong, or, why are you telling people what to do when you don't know what you're talking about? And I just, not everybody does everything the same way, and whatever I do works for me, and I'm sharing what works for me with the rest of my followers, fans, whatever you want to call my friends. And, they're either going to incorporate it into their hunting style, or they're going to ignore it. They're going to change the channel and move on. And, you know, I don't feel like it's necessary unless I'm doing something like completely outlandish that is going to smear hunters' names or, you know, drag hunters through the mud, so to speak, that anybody should ever say anything. And if you're going to say something to me, message me and say, hey, John, by the way, I think, you know, that video you posted is going to be, you know, detrimental to hunters as a whole because you did this and you're going to, you know, open yourself up to whatever from the antis or something. You know, that stuff kind of makes sense to me and I'll acknowledge that and I'd take it into consideration, especially if I respect your opinion. You know, but the just constant like picking on you for just because they're jealous, that's like a whole new level of bullshit, in my opinion.
Yeah, what you're getting is, I mean, typical of an alpha male syndrome. I mean, we're all alpha male tough guy providers, and we are the authority of our little world. And so when someone else is doing it differently, we're the first ones to step up and say, no, I do it this way. I'm an authority, remember? And it's always about educating each other, when in reality, the smart guys, like you said, they're just going to send you a private message. They're going to enter the conversation with total humility with a disclaimer like, hey, dude, I know you know your stuff, but here's my feedback. You obviously are going to take that differently than just some random barrage on some thread with just absolutely out of context nonsense, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. You know, I was actually kind of appalled at some of the crap you were getting for the whole evac thing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Because not everybody might know that story. I think, you know, I've never known you to be, you know, maybe you and I don't always see eye to eye with like how hunting styles or whatever, but I've never known you to be like a wuss and to, you know, just call evac because you're, you know, a scaredy cat or something. I when I saw that, I was like, shit, something must have really happened, you know, cause you go harder than most guys that I know. So.
Well, yeah, I've been shed hunting 3 days a week since April 1st, and the country I'm covering, and you know, guys can say whatever they want. They can honestly kiss my ass. I don't care. It's rough. It's deep and it's rough. I'm going from, you know, 6,000 feet up to 9,000 feet in about 3 miles. You do the math on that. That's pretty steep country. It's rocky. It's rugged, and the deer I'm after, again, they're not for anyone to gawk over. They're not limited entry premium type bucks. They're my bucks. They're bucks that I hunt and film and you know, relentlessly pursue, because at the end of the day, they're over the counter, and so that's kind of what I have access to every year. I don't always get those premium tags. I wait in line like everybody else, but these are my local boys. So anyways, I'm hiking up there 3-4 days a week. I'm in great shape. I can get up and back. I got cocky. I got confident. And one day I decided to leave my pack home. And one day I decided to not pack as much water. And one day I decided to go a little bit too far and a little bit too high. You know, the deer were literally wintering above timberline in the area I was at, which might be closer to 10,000 feet on top. And I spotted a shed with my spotting scope 2 weeks ago up there. And I said, it'll be easier to get up there without a pack. And I'll burn up there real quick, snag all, you know, scoop up 4 or 5 big sets and bounce. That's what I thought. Well, I got my ass humbled. I was side hilling across a little cliff face in a chute that I've done 1,000 times with a big frame pack and a rifle on my back or bow. And this time, for some reason, as I reached up to pull and just kind of navigate laterally like Spider-Man, the whole freaking face to the rock came off on me. It just fell. And I jumped blindly backwards down into the draw with the rocks behind me. And that son of a bitch hit me right in the side of the arm and landed right on my thigh. And so a lot of guys are teasing me because, oh, you cut your arm. Well, they don't realize I got a thigh that I'm black all the way down to my calf right now. The entire thigh is just completely swollen and literally just smashed the muscle above the femur right below the hip. So I'm 3.5 miles from the truck. I'm 2 hours healthy. I'm 4 hours broken. I'm out of water. I don't have a backpack. I have a really light goose down jacket. I'm completely out of my mind because at whatever level, I didn't recognize the gravity of my arm. I mean, I lost 2 units of blood. So to all the tough guy geniuses out there, that's 2 pints. Your body has 7. You do the math on that, you know. It's a lot of blood. It's 25% of your blood, basically, maybe closer to 30. And when you couple that with dehydration, and you couple that with the leg wound that I literally couldn't even bend my leg, my whole right side was shut down, and I've got to descend 3,000 feet over 3.5 miles, and it's dark. I'm in deep shit. So
for sure.
That's it. To every guy that questions me, piss off, man. Like, I don't need your approval to call a helicopter. Do guys not realize that I have to pay about 10 grand out of pocket for that? Like, I've hiked that ridge literally 150 times in my life from when I was 10 years old on. I know every little nook and cranny. In fact, I know that ridge so well, I was able to tell my dad where I was laying without a headlamp. He was able to walk right to me 2 hours later. Because I told him literally, you remember where Chris shot that buck? Okay, he died right above where I'm at. I'm up on that dead pine tree on the edge of that ledge. And my dad walked right to me. So at the end of the day, like I said, it's familiar country. I'm more than capable. I'm fit. I'm in shape. I just was underprepared. I was arrogant. And I just did not plan for the worst. And so my posting of all of this nonsense was literally just to tell guys, hey, reality check, slow down. Check your packs, pack the right stuff, always go in with the worst case scenario in mind, and, you know, be safer because of it. I have no problem admitting I screwed up, dude. It's not a problem for me. But these guys try to turn it into a, you know, I'm a wuss crap, which is, again, it's fine. I blocked them all. I don't recognize or see any of their posts anyways. So anyways.
Richard Mays had a question for you. Does your keto diet have any effect on your hydration, basically?
Yeah, it made me hike further and faster and farther than I ever had in my life, because it's absolutely the best diet for athletic performance ever made. So part of this keto problem is I'm actually pushing myself too hard, because this stuff makes you superhuman. It's absolutely amazing how efficiently your body runs. You don't need to drink water as much. You don't need to eat as often. And sometimes as a result, you become dehydrated because you're not thinking about eating and drinking like you used to. I literally like it because it is lower maintenance. So at the end of the day, keto is actually the best thing ever for it. I just got to learn to balance it out.
Right. I get shit all the time, even from my closest friends and stuff, about I carry a lot of emergency gear in my pack. And I'm not really I'm not a backcountry hunter. I'm a front country. I'm very rarely more than like 8 miles from my truck. You know, I mean, 8 miles in the grand scheme of things is really not that much. And I literally, I don't know how many times I've had to defend myself. They're like, why are you carrying this? Why you got a first aid? Why do you got this? Why do you got that? You're carrying so much weight. And I'm like, because you've never ever got stuck out in the middle of nowhere and had to spend a night by yourself in the dark without the proper gear. And I did that once. And I mean, this is going back probably 15 years ago. And it was miserable. You know, I had no means of starting a fire, and, you know, my bushcraft wasn't exactly excellent at the time. I actually started learning bushcraft afterwards, because I was like, there's no way in hell I'm not going to be able to make us a fire, you know, if I get trapped out here again without anything. And like, even now when I go on stalks, I made up this little pouch. It's probably like, I don't know, maybe that big. And it weighs about a pound. Something that you could put on your belt. And because how many times you drop your pack and you go on this long stalk, and that stalk, you know, the deer was here and he decides to move, you know, over the ridge and into the, you know, next bowl or whatever, and you're going after him, and then on your way back you're like, oh shit, well, where the hell's my pack? Or, you know, it gets dark and you have a hard time finding it, even if you didn't make a good mental note of it or marked it with your GPS. I put a lot of little, like, you know, I put a knife in there. I keep a flashlight in there, a ferro rod to start fire, a little bit of, you know, tape, a couple zip ties, just things to kind of like get me through if something was to actually happen. You know, of course, since I've done that, I haven't gotten into a situation, but, you know, it's just one of those things, man. I stopped like listening to people. I'm like, you know what? One of these days, it's going to happen to you. And if I'm with you, you're going to be happy that I was with you. So.
Totally agree.
Oh, Scott just said everybody's a pro on good old Facebook. Yeah, ain't that the truth? Keyboard experts. Yeah. So what's in the future, right? In the near future for Zac Griffith and Summit?
Just waiting for the draws. Just waiting for draws to come out. Want to see where I land. I've got a lot of points in Nevada. I've got 10 for everything. I've got a lot of deer points in Arizona I'm trying to burn. I'll just see how the cookie crumbles and plan the fall accordingly. I always basically just put in for the premium tags and then plan backwards. Once the draws hit, then I just go buy over the counters or, landowner tags or whatever, just to fill in the schedule. So
yeah,
it's very close though. We're going to be getting hit everywhere in the next 30 days. Like it's going to be bananas.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I just got news that I once again didn't draw Colorado for mountain goat. Not that I really had any high hopes that I was actually going to draw it, but I got one more chance in Idaho, and then probably going to be doing a lot of over the counter tags. Me, 2015, I drew like 14 tags, so I kind of like ate up a bunch of my points in a lot of states that I had been putting into for years. So, which was crazy. That's a lot of tags to get in 1 year. But,
sure, you want to keep it slower.
So, but yeah, I always try to, have at least 4 or 5 hunts that are over the counter, my go-tos. And then I rely on drawing at least a few tags a year. I like to do anywhere from 10 to 12 big game hunts a year out of state and, then over the counter here in Arizona.
Yeah.
So you've teamed up with Mountain Ops, and looks like you're really enjoying the product and doing well with it.
Yeah.
So, you got any advice for the aspiring that want to be like Zac? I mean, in the fitness side of it, man.
Oh yeah, just make small steps, man. Like, who cares where I'm at? Who cares where you're at? Who cares where anyone's at? Just compare yourself to yourself yesterday, and as long as you're improving, you're doing it right. Like, we all go at different paces. Fitness to me is different to somebody else. I think a lot of guys get confused by my message there. I assume they assume, but I preach that you got to wear a tank top and be tan and shredded to kill stuff. And I've never said that in my life. I just like doing that stuff for me. That's the side thing. Now, does that correlate to being more agile on the mountain? Sure it does. Yeah. I mean, there's absolutely a direct correlation there. But again, at the end of the day, it's about just improving. Like, we don't have a long fall to hunt. So the other 9-10 months of the year, do something, get in shape and take care of yourself. I mean, what's wrong with feeling better? I know it's so taboo these days to feel better and sleep better and have more confidence and whatever, like training and fitness and all that stuff it's about an all encompassing like way of life. It's not just, just getting six pack. I feel great when I train. I train 7 days a week. And in fact, if I take a day off, I'm kind of like annoyed because I'm trying to figure out how to go train. I just like to burn off steam, and I feel like I accomplished something. As you can see, I've got a very sedimentary job. I just sit on my butt all day long. So it's nice to get out and get my hands calloused up and throw some weight around. That's one of the reasons I love to lift. I like working. So, at the end of the day, like each guy to each his own, find your path, find your resources, guys that you look up to, reach out. Anyone that knows me, I'm very responsive on Instagram as long as it's constructive. You could private message me any day and I'll respond. And I'm very open to sharing my feedback and insight. It's again, just make baby steps and just get started, and you'll be surprised how far you can come in a very short period of time.
Yeah, no, agreed. It's funny though. It's funny that you said that, how it's become kind of taboo, when just a few years ago, it was like the coolest thing in the world. If you were training to hunt, you were training and becoming fit. Now it's kind of like taking this almost like a turn where all the haters, all the people that don't want to push themselves to be better version of themselves, have kind of like made it so that you got to feel bad about it almost, you know? And
Yeah,
it's
they draw this conclusion that again, that for some reason they think that I'm saying you can't kill a 200-inch mule deer with your bow unless you're shredded. I never said that once. It's again, that's their insecurities. It's that same whatever. It's the message is simple. Just improve, prepare. Why would you not do both? You
yeah.
know, and improving and preparing on your end is different than mine, so that's fine. So, you know, my message
Hmm.
has to be from my own perspective. It has to be from my own life experiences because I don't regurgitate what other people do. I say this is what I do. This is how I do it. You do you. And for some reason, that you do you part just gets kind of faded out, and a lot of guys take it personal. But at the end of
Right.
the day, they all know that we all need to work on being healthier and happier for our families, for our well-being, for our productivity at work,
Hmm.
just for life in general. Like there's nothing negative about fitness and being healthy.
Right. Yeah, well, there shouldn't be. There shouldn't be anything negative about it, but there unfortunately people make it negative. Richard
Sure.
Mays asked, what's your favorite state to hunt?
Probably Arizona. If you got to pick a state that has more badass animals with easy draw opportunities, I mean, in from Phoenix, first of all, I love the weather, but within an hour in any direction, you're hunting like 7 different big game animals that are absolutely badass. I mean, you have giant elk that don't winter kill, so they live till they're 20. Huge mule deer, whether you're hunting the northern deer or the desert bucks. You have Coues whitetail. There's freaking bobcats. You kill them all the time. There are bobcats all around town. Critters
Hmm.
and predators are everywhere in Arizona. There's sheep. You can actually draw sheep tags in Arizona. It's just got it all, man. Like I don't think people realize. I mean, before I lived there, John, all I thought of was like, oh, there's a bunch of
Sand.
cactus down there, sand and cactus. But you drive through Flagstaff and you see Francisco or San Francisco Peak, and you're like, holy, it's like 14,000 feet. So
Yeah.
Arizona is the one-stop shop. I mean, they have everything. The only thing they don't have is ibex, which they need to
Yeah.
just install some down in the Southwest somewhere in one of those ranges because there's
Oh,
nothing down
I
there
know a
anyways.
perfect mountain
But
range for it over there.
yeah, yeah,
I
there's
found it. I already scoped it out right off the I-10.
yeah, that's all they need. But yeah, Arizona is my state for sure, bud.
Austin Atkinson asked if do you think that your daughters will have a desire to hunt?
So far, the cool thing about my daughters is my wife and I are divorced, and her husband actually is very active with hunting, and so he's keeping them really involved, in getting them hunting and getting them licenses and hunter ed and stuff. And then I get them during the summers and during the holiday break. So in the summers we're gonna shoot bows, and luckily they're cultivating the hunting experience from both sides of the family, and it's actually really cool because at the end of the day, I just want my kids happy, and hunting
Right.
makes me happy. So I don't care if they're hunting with their stepdad or me. Like we're out chasing critters. I know they're enjoying themselves. I know they're healthy. And again, at the end of the day, it's always a positive thing to get kids out there. So
Yeah, absolutely. Um, John Breitzman said that me and you got him into training years ago from your videos. Appreciate that, man. I'm glad it's going good for you. You've had quite the transformation. Um, and then Mark Stapley asked, I'll field this one and then you can chime in. Starting out on getting in shape for a hunt, what would you say? Would you say cardio is more important than strength training or vice versa or equally both? I think it's easier to get your cardio a step above first, then move into doing a very balanced strength and conditioning. But in the end, they're both equally important because if you don't have strong legs, even though they can run all day, you're not going to get up the hill. So, and that's where all the injuries happen is when you don't have balanced strength. That's why guys, lose footing all the time. Like myself, I'm always falling on the ground. But what are your thoughts?
no, it's point spot on. You do realize you can train and do cardio at the same time, right? Like backpacking with a heavy pack. That's the best
Yeah.
thing you could ever do, guys. So you're killing two birds with one stone. You're accomplishing a cardiovascular benefit. You're burning fat, and you're building muscle. So why don't you look at exercises that are going to do all of the above at once, whether they're deep lunges, hiking, incline treadmill. I love riding the elliptical and putting it on heavy resistance. Any one of those things with a backpack on is just going to compound the results. So, if you want to keep it simple, one-stop shop, do things that accomplish all three goals at once.
Yep. Yep. We had a couple questions. I think Scott asked you to lay out a day in the life of Zac Griffith as far as, your health regime. I know you could get a lot of that on Zach's YouTube channel. But go ahead and lay that out.
I posted a lot of full day of eatings and stuff. I wake up at 4 every day, year round. Saturday, Sunday, doesn't matter. I just like being in very routine, consistent patterns. I feel better. I just get up early. It's more my style. I go to bed at 9 o'clock. I just never been a night guy. So I wake up at 4. I go to the gym. Get to the office by 6:30. Most of my clients are East Coast, so they're 2 hours ahead. So I get up early and I'm right on board with them. Usually work till 3 or 4. Head home, spend time with my wife. Repeat. That's it.
Yep. I'm not too far off from you. I get up at 5 and go to sleep at 10. Unless my kids wake me up in the middle of the night, which happens sometimes.
Yeah,
like you did yesterday.
For sure.
But Brandon Scott Goodwin was asking what type of boots do we wear? I wear Mammut GTX. They're a mountaineering boot, but they're not like super duper. They're kind of like they're in between what you would call like a heavy hiker and a true mountaineering boot.
I wear Loas. Yeah. The Loa Clevedale GTX, and they have the Lathrop & Son custom insoles. Those insoles are crazy. I ran Canatrex, and those are great boots, and I loved them. But it's funny, now that I have a custom insole, I can't even put my foot into my Canatrex because the arch is so high. And it's not that Canatrex are bad. It's just my foot doesn't fit the cookie cutter Canatrex platform. When you get a custom insole, it like basically molds around you, and it feels a lot different. It's hard to describe until you've done it. It's definitely the way to go if you're going to be serious about covering country.
Yeah. For me, once I switched over to I used to run like light hikers and stuff because I wanted to be quiet and I wanted to be nimble. And man, I was blowing up my feet. So once I switched over to something that was a little bit hardier boot and ran a mountaineering style boot, my mileage has definitely gone up. And you really notice it when you're packing stuff out. I wear orthotics, so as long as the footbed has enough room for my orthotic, I get that comfort in any boot, so that it just becomes about style of boot and how it feels on the upper for me. But I get it. So, Scott just asked, I was more after your eating habits. Do you eat out? What do you do? What do you eat? Or what do you stay away from?
Yeah, go check out my YouTube videos, man. I've made so many full day of eatings. I make almost one a week, so it just goes through my meals each time. I show meal prep, I show dinners. No, I don't eat out hardly ever, man. I don't see the point. I got a freezer full of elk and deer, and I like to feel good all the time. Eating out's just not healthy usually, so I'm not very emotional about food, man. It's more of a fuel source, and I eat for results. I eat for specific purposes, and I've just maybe become that way over time. But yeah, the videos I've made are very descriptive and very clear on, breaking it down for you play by play.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish I wasn't such a foodie. I love good food, man. And I eat a lot of everything, good, bad, ugly. But I'd say my biggest problem is that I eat way too fast, which makes me overeat and, causes digestive problems. You taking in more calories than you need to be taking in. Diet's important, man. Diet's super important. I wish I can, I used to have a lot more willpower for it, but as I got older, I developed a bunch of food allergies, and there's so many things that I love that I can't have that it's so hard for me to eat quote unquote clean that like it's kind of like people talk about having a cheat day. I have like almost like a cheat meal every day. I'll eat like 3-4 meals clean and then have one that's not, and it's definitely not a good way to live, and I've been trying to change that up. So I'm just looking to see if we have any other questions. No problem, Scott. It's okay to eat, even us fat guys kill animals. Nice, Brandon. Well, I think that's it. Is all I got for you as far as questions from myself. Is if anybody else has an actual hunting related question, or something about Zach specifically, we're more than happy to field it real quick. Oh, doesn't look like it. Well, I want to thank everybody for being on, and thank you, Zach, for taking the time out of your day, to just touch base on this. And if you have any last words of wisdom that you want to pass on to anybody, or anything about Summit you want to pass on to anybody, go ahead.
Just be happy. Surround yourself with happy people, positive people that support you, and your life will be a lot better. I promise. Just block the negative and just learn to just focus on what's good. Focus on what you have, not what you don't. As cliche as it sounds, it's just that simple.
Yeah. Yep. I've done a couple of videos and written a couple of blog posts myself about it over the last couple of years, because I've been so sick and tired of seeing it, because the anti-hunters are winning and all we're doing is wasting time on each other for stupidity. I mean, even the dumb stuff like who shoots a Hoyt and who shoots a Matthews and who's a gun hunter and who's a bow hunter. It's just ridiculous.
Sure.
So, but I think it's up to guys like yourself and me and everybody that's watching this just to stay positive and promote everything in a positive manner. And that's the only way that we're going to be able to keep our heritage and be able to do what we want to do.
Agreed, brother.
All right, guys. Well, this will be up on my YouTube and will be up on the Interviews with the Hunting Masters podcast eventually. Thanks again for being on. And remember, we're giving away a Matthews Halon 32. Those of you that have subscribed and are leaving, reviews, that helps me keep the podcast free, and it helps me grow, because, if you don't have a positive review and you're telling me I need to do something differently, I'm listening to that. That's all I got for you today. And, Zach, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, man.